Hello and welcome to Awakening Circle of Love and Light. I'm Dr. Jane Mountrose, your host. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, energy healer Gretchen Comer. And today we're going to have, I think, a very interesting discussion on how our reality is shifting in our post-pandemic world. And we were just talking a little bit about it ahead. It's different, and it probably won't ever go back to where it was. Not that maybe that was even what we're aiming for. So I think this will be very interesting. Anyhow, we're here live now on the Enlightened World Network at facebook.com/Enlightened World Network, where you can find us live each Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Eastern time. You can also watch the video of the circle anytime after that at facebook.com/awakenings circle. So you can see it anytime, and we're very grateful to have you join us and be part of the movement really toward more love and light in any capacity that works for you. So thank you for being here. I also, again, I do want to thank you for joining us. And taking this, it's an opportunity both for yourself and for the whole. We're all here to heal, to grow, and to make a difference in the world. So it works on all levels. Before we start, also, I want to remind you to, if you're here live, please make a note in the comment section, say hello, tell us where you're from, and feel free to add any of your insights or questions. We'd be happy to hear from you. The other thing I want to do before we start our discussion is just take a brief moment to center ourselves to get here in the space, in the moment, in our bodies, which we can do most easily by just breathing. So you can close your eyes if you're in a safe place for that. And just feel the breath moving in and out. We also want to invite all those beings of light who are here supporting us to join us, and they can bless us with an outpouring of love and light, which we can sense and breathe in. They're always with us, and I think if we ask them more directly to join us, we feel them even more, and they are even more present in our lives. And I'm being made aware that there are many. There are many here. So thank you to them too. Okay, so here we are, hopefully post-pandemic. Crossing our fingers. And I want to welcome Gretchen and ask you why discussing our shifting reality in this post-pandemic world is important to you.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, I feel like it's important to us right now because people need to have a sense of groundedness and centeredness in their life. They need to be able to move forward with a more positive outlook about how their future can be. And in times like a pandemic where things are largely beyond our control, it really is a challenge to ourselves to figure out new ways of being, you know, and new ways that are going to work for us. And so for me, you know, I'm just like everybody else. You know, I've had my challenges and trying to figure out what's going to work best in this new paradigm that we're living in right now as a post-pandemic world. And so I feel like if there's lots of things that we can do, but I know we'll get more into that. And it really is a way to kind of analyze what was working for us before the pandemic versus what's working for us now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And I think just some of the, I guess, earthly things that I don't know if they'll ever come back. I don't know if we'll ever be in the same world we were in before. Kind of like those of us who mourn, well, back in my youth or whatever, and it may not be that we're intended to. I think if we see our challenges as opportunities, this has been an immense challenge that we can use to evolve and grow.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And also to make changes in society that are possible, but that we might not have seen before. And I think one of them, which I think has been a factor for in your own life, not so much in ours or mine, is that a lot of people who were working in an office or had a regular full-time job before ended up transferring it to home. And after the pandemic thought, well, gee, I don't want to go back to that, which is, and I think personally, I think that's an evolutionary step toward demanding more freedom.
Right. I think it presents its own challenges to work at home. And I think everybody who has been working at home has also identified that there tends to be less boundaries because you have family, you have, children. I'm fortunate that it's just my husband and I, so there's, we can divide our time accordingly. But I know that's been a challenge for a lot of people. But there is a silver lining generally. People do feel a little more autonomous, they feel that freedom. And that's led to other opportunities, other doors opening in their life, and also workplaces rethinking about why do we need to have people in the office, when work is, they're finding that people were more productive at home.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen any statistics on it.
So I've seen some interesting studies.
It couldn't have been too bad, or I would have heard that.
Right. Well, now it's being widely embraced by some of the large corporations like Google and Amazon. As much as the work that can be done at home with those companies, they're encouraging it because they're finding that people are generally more productive and people are more content being in a homework environment. So it's been a huge change. But like you said, we have to embrace the beauty of it. We have to understand that there may not be a need to go back to the old way. There really isn't, and I think I was saying to you the other day, there's that old saying, you can never go home. And I think that's kind of where we're at. You can't exactly go back to the way the things are. We're always evolving and changing. And some of these things have been a blessing. There's some silver linings in. Yeah.
Right.
So,
and for me, when years ago, I had my, I guess, shift in that particular area because I was an architect. And I wanted to move more into healing. And I was too, I guess, afraid to give up my job to quit. And what happened was I became so sick I couldn't continue to work. And it was interesting because I was so sick I didn't even care anymore. I was that sick. I was very sick. But it all worked out. And then I realized, wait a minute. This all worked out. Why am I doing that?
Right.
And of course, it's not that I completely made a transition right away, but I never went back where I was before. And it was a blessing for me. I think in the environment today, something I think about just in relation to even the benefits for employers and also the benefits for society is, if more people work at home, there will be less need for office space, for one thing. And there will be less consumption of fossil fuels, as long as that's a factor, if people aren't driving quite as many miles every week. So, and plus the saved time.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to worry so much about being late to work when work is just right there in your home. So yeah, there's a lot of beautiful things that I think can come out of this. We've had something very similar happen at the retreat center where I work full time. And we had so many people on staff and we had a lot of staff offices. And as a result, we've been able to switch those offices over to lodging places. And so we're able to increase the numbers and hold more people. Right. And so that also has made people feel safer in as the pandemic has been winding down, because some people are still concerned about transmission. And so we're able to space people out more. So it was actually a really good silver lining for our center. And I'm sure there's lots of other places around the planet that are experiencing the same things. And as we all know, when the pandemic started, there were some environmental studies done where, they said there was a large decrease on gas emissions because people weren't driving everywhere, and the environment was actually recovering a little bit during that time. So sometimes Mother Earth needs a breather, and sometimes we need a breather too. And I think one of the beautiful things that also has come out of this is people are reevaluating what's important in their life. Now that they've been able to spend more time with family and have the option of working at home, people are adjusting kind of away from that old arcane way of working. And now we're in this new way, and it's more collaborative as a result. And we are now that we are getting back to business and places are open and the pandemic is kind of winding down, there is a real joy in the person-to-person connection now, so when people are actually able to meet in person, there's a lot more joy in that, and there's more human connection, which is what we all need, to bring about good change. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when you look at society in general, if we're looking at being part of an ascension process or an awakening process, however people look at it, a reality shift or a dimensional shift, we have to find different ways to do a lot of things.
Right.
And I think that is one of them. I often wondered, going back, even because I've been around a while, back into the 80s. I think it was in the 1980s, I think, that business shifted in a way that more people had to really work more hours to get the same thing. In other words, where before the 80s, it was possible for a one income family to live pretty well. Then in the 80s, more women were introduced into the workplace and wanted to be, which is a good thing. But incomes didn't grow with the cost of living in a way that now most families need to have two income earners. And I think somehow that kind of went by almost like people didn't notice it. And I kept thinking, what? Wait a minute, people, wake up.
Right.
But we are gradually waking up. And that's just one of many areas. I think you and I are in the alternative, you could say, alternative healthcare area, and spiritual, obviously the spiritual development area. And that has been changing too. I actually wanted to look, I haven't looked recently at statistics about the relative spending between conventional medical practices and alternatives, but the amount that was being spent by percentage that people were spending on alternatives has been going up. And the number of people who are using organic produce and better quality foods, that has been going up too gradually over the years. And these are ways that society is shifting too.
Right. I think too, because people were able to take a pause during the pandemic, a lot of people who were in the workforce were able to take a pause and really reevaluate, well, like I mentioned, what's working and what's not working, but also, how they're living, their diet, their well-being, their health, their connection with family and friends. And it made every one of those connections more important. They had time to focus on their own well-being. And that's really important, because that's how we're going to bring about the positive outlook, the positive future, and how we're going to be able to bring about positive change in the world. And really, it enables us to be more creative. A lot of people changed jobs completely. They realized after 15, 20 years, they didn't want to be in the same career,
Right.
and suddenly they're doing something completely different, or they've started an online business where they're finding it's a lot more nurturing to them than what they were doing previously. So there's been a whole kind of creative burst that's come from the pandemic as well. And that gives us the positive outlook. That gives us a new way to express our joy.
Right. And if we can change the institutions of society in a positive way, to me, that also is the best of all worlds.
Yes.
I was listening on YouTube to a woman talking about the ascension and how all of the institutions of society are crumbling and everything's falling apart. And and it kind of shocked me in a way. I've heard some similar things, I think, at times. But to me, actually, our best opportunity is if we can transform them ourselves. Like we were talking about with people finding ways to do things that are more true to who they are for an occupation or profession, whatever it is that they're seeking, and being able to, or actually being interested in our health enough to take responsibility for us. Those are a couple areas. We have all kinds of areas of society, like the educational system. Another one that's actually been well, it's been a lot of controversy around it is uh, the police. How we can transform the police into something that is more, I guess you could say, community friendly rather than something that people
Right.
are really afraid of, and in some cases are killing people, which is
Right.
not obviously not the right direction. But we do have the opportunity to have those shifts in society become self-promoted, like
Right.
we as creators can create those ourselves rather than
Right.
having to have everything implode, kind of like the tower in the tarot deck, the tower card. It's like
Hmm.
everything blows up and there you are in the
Right.
rubble or something.
Right. And I think that what you're speaking of is so true, because I feel like, for example, with the police department, people are realizing it's time for a lot of change. It's really brought it to the forefront. And so that's been another thing that we've been able to focus on, is where we need it. It's kind of laid it bare. We need to see where all those things need to change now. And this is probably a good time for that. I feel that this could be a good time for that, to have some systemic change that would help people. And the police are there to protect and serve. So that's something that, within their organizations, they need to basically figure that out. So a lot of companies, a lot of organizations are having to figure out, how can we do this better? And that's good. We need to have that level of change and that level of thinking to bring about those changes, and to help us deal better with abrupt changes in our lives. So that collaboration is really what I'm speaking of. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you have to expect there are those who are going to be kicking and screaming. But
Right.
the important thing is to shift the balance, and then gradually those forces become less and less active.
Right. Right.
uh, Philip, my husband, and I, sometimes we end up talking about fast food or things like that and how horrible that is. Um, and I just come back to, well, McDonald's wouldn't exist if people didn't go there.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
to say it's a blight on society or whatever, it's actually a society being a blight on itself in a very real way. And we
Right.
have to turn away from that and turn to other things in order for them to blossom and the other ones to kind of just gradually uh, end up out of the picture for us.
Right, right. And again, that's about finding what works best for us, and what's going to bring about a better sense of wellness, and making good, healthy choices. And again, I think this pause we've had during the pandemic has helped quite a few people do that. And um, it's better to have people in the workforce that are doing jobs that they love,
Right.
versus jobs that they feel like they're a slave to, that they've had to do for years. And a lot of people identify with their career choice. So if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, that's often very all encompassing in your life. And when suddenly you weren't able to do things like teach in person, it really made people change and get a lot more creative with how they were going to approach things. And so, like I said before, that opens up doors, and that gives us a different focus to ask, what else could be possible right now? I know that's one of the points we've talked about in this circle of love and light before, but it really is a good question to say, everything's on the table. What do we do now? And that's a creative energy that comes in to say, what else could be possible? And that will give us more insight on how to create a life that's more joyful right now in this post-pandemic world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And B, well, what you're talking about is being in a state where more is possible. I think
Right.
we, um, with the healing work that we do, there's one really amazing spiritual healing process we do that is all based on just imagining what might be possible.
Mhm.
And it really is, if we go to that place, I like to call it pure potential. It's
Mhm.
like where there are no limits, everything is just in flux. In a, you could say a quantum field actually, where energetically it can shift into anything. Uh, then the imagination has a lot of opportunities to explore. And it really is,
Yes.
the things
Yes.
that can happen are pretty magical and miraculous.
Right. I think I shared with you the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine and he had just lost his job. And he said for the first hour, it was awful. It was that
Hmm.
abrupt change. He was very upset that he had lost his job at his age. He's in his 50s. Um, and he said, but after about an hour, I realized, hey, now I can do what I want. He suddenly felt like a weight lift off of him. And he did admit that this is one of those things where he was very hesitant. He knew he needed to leave his job before the pandemic, but he continued with it during the pandemic. And it just got to be more like drudgery. It just
Hmm.
was awful trying to get to work every day. And then suddenly, when that choice was kind of made for him, he realized there was a lot of freedom in it. So he was trying to find the positive in that. And the positive was that now suddenly the world is his oyster. He can manifest any direction that he wants as the creator of his own life. He can really move forward, making choices that are going to make him happier. And if we have people that are happy in the workforce, we're going to have a much happier planet, because work is essential for most people. And like you said, most families now, both parents have to work. And
Right.
so it's not going to go away essentially, but we need to find new ways to find that joy and that happiness that really nurtures us in whatever we're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually very exciting when things are changing. I
Yeah.
think that there are tragic things happening too, as in the Ukraine. And
Yes.
that also, that's just, it's another sign of the old ways fighting literally to survive, because they
Right.
know, I think those who are in oppressive kind of places, who want to promote oppression, they know that they're becoming less and less powerful.
Right, right. It's almost a level of desperation to hold on to that old way of being. And as we know, that's not going to serve us but for so long. And that's okay to let it fall away. It's okay to
Right.
ask, what else could be possible for me right now? What have I not considered, up until now? Because I've been kind of in this box of a career or this box in the way I live my home life. And that box is opening, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of other things outside of that box. So
Mhm.
yeah, these are interesting ways to think and kind of reanalyze what it is we need in our life right now. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating with, we've done a lot with physical healing, because if you look at physical healing, of course, it's the densest level, and in some ways actually maybe the most difficult to shift things that are actually happening in the physical, rather than something that's happening energetically, like a belief or something. Um, and with that, just with that approach, opening to what else might be possible, we've had people had miraculous healings just with that, and it can happen in a day. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not, they're not always complete. Sometimes we have several sessions with people on them, but it really is, the things that can happen are really, they are miraculous. And if we, that's another thing, is if we can open to miracles, we're in a much better place, because they are here. But we're not necessarily here
Right.
for them.
Right, right. So yeah, learning new ways to kind of stay open and asking what else is possible. These are all going to lead us down a track of finding what nurtures us and nourishes us and brings us that joy. And the more content we are, the more we're living a fulfilled life. That impact is going to have it's amazing energetic impact on the whole planet. It
Right.
really does. And then we're more in a heart-centered place. We're more centered and grounded in what we're doing, and we're going to make better, healthy choices because of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times people are making choices that aren't that healthy because they don't have a high regard for themselves.
Right.
Because of
Right.
various factors in society, and also because they don't see what's possible for themselves.
Right.
Destructive behavior is often related to that, obviously. Not
Right.
believing
Yeah.
that anything good is coming when actually
Right.
it's right here for us if we're here for it. And we're going to explore that actually with the angels here in a couple minutes. I'm going to invite in um, some of the angels. I so deeply really so grateful for their presence, and that's another factor also that has been brought to my attention more over the last couple of years, is that there are forces we can communicate with and connect with energetically up above, actually all around, but energetically in the higher realms, that are supporting us and wanting to help us. They're kind of in many cases, the archangels are standing by because they honor our free will and they won't help us unless we ask.
Right.
But if we
Right.
do,
Yeah. Miracles can happen.
yes,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. And I think, a good thing for people to do is, if they can, take a pause when they're feeling this stress of trying to kind of get back into the old way of things, to just take a pause and to breathe. Like you had mentioned at the beginning, breathing is such a good way to just kind of help center and ground ourselves. And then I always suggest to people right now, the clients that I'm working with, pace yourself. This is a new world. This is a new way of being. Just pace yourself. Call upon those support systems that can help you, whether it be human, or whether it be light beings or angels or
both.
guides, or all the above, right?
Right.
But feel okay doing that, because everybody has access to that. And you're right, we just need to ask. That's how we're going to get the help. Yeah.
Right. Right. So with that, I feel like maybe it's time to invite the angels to join us.
Okay. All right.
I chose the ones that I wanted to connect with today specifically to focus on being on that path for ourselves, for our own awakening, for our own joy, for living fully, for being here actually in the most beneficial ways we can for our soul's plan. And also, all of those things, when we're in those places, it's also good for the whole, because we're going to be, well, like we were talking about with a healthy diet, we're much more like, we're going to create more things that are beneficial for us on a spiritual level, on all levels, when we're opening to it and bringing more of it into our own reality. The same, just like if you eat more healthy food, you're going to feel better physically. But this is on the all levels kind of
Right.
a perspective. So we can start, and it is interesting for those who maybe haven't been that connected with specifically the archangels we're going to be talking about. And they're one of the highest groupings of angels who bring energies and all kinds of blessings to us from basically from source. The EL, which is present in the name of many of the archangels, most of them, is means of God. So these are messengers of God, and they all bring love in different forms, their own particular aspect of that to us. And that's, I think, for me, I think it can shift your whole energetic makeup over time to have that connection. I feel it has done that for me, and I am deeply grateful for all of them. So here we go. Opening to insights, healing opportunities, and magical blessings from the archangels. So we can start by closing our eyes and taking some nice, beautiful breaths. Just opening to the divine and to breathing in lighter energy into our bodies and into the space around us that is our energy field. And one thing for me that I feel is if we can lift our own spirits part way, then we can create a deeper connection. So we also want to lift our energy field a little bit. We can ask any energy that is holding us down, or any energy that is not our own, that we can release now. Just send it back where it came from. Kind of like we carry burdens with us, and we carry burdens from other people with us. We don't know. A lot of times we don't know that fear or that anger or whatever is coming to us from someone else until we ask it to leave. And your intention is very powerful. When you ask it to leave, it has to go. And in a similar way we leave bits of ourselves in other times, other places, and we can invite all of that energy back to us so we can have more of our own energy present. And you might actually I can feel energy in both of those cases. I can feel energy moving either away or to me. So you can just occupy that space that is your own energy field. As we open now, we'll open to the first of the archangels we're going to communicate with, and that is Archangel Metatron, who is considered to be one of the angels who is closest to God. He holds the space at the top of the tree of life in the Kabbalah. So it's like he's overseeing all the others, and he oversees us too. So you can imagine asking him to bless us with his presence, which you might experience as a beautiful, radiant golden white light. And you might have an image of him, you might sense him in whatever ways are available to you. Just notice what you notice. And I feel that energy around me, beautiful, beautiful, radiant golden white light. It's a very high light, which actually in terms of our energy system, the different angels are resonant with different of our chakras, and his is the soul star, which is the 8th chakra above, which is actually above the body. And not surprisingly, his focus is on spiritual evolution and enlightenment. And as we open to his energy, these are the things we're opening to. He also acts as a guardian for those who are here to awaken the planet. And he is particularly present for us at this time when the planet is awakening, when we are going through a transition energetically. He can activate the soul star chakra, that 8th chakra, which some would say initiates the process of ascension and opens us actually to that reality shift. We started with how reality is shifting. So he opens us to that energetically. He can accelerate our spiritual growth just through his energy as we open to that. And another interesting note, which I value quite a bit, is that he oversees the Akashic records. So he also knows everything about you, about your soul's plan and where you've been. And he can help all of us to move beyond those perceived limitations and beliefs that hold us down, and assist us in developing our gifts and abilities to move in those directions where our soul can really thrive. As we were talking about that in terms of our occupation or profession or the things we do, he can help there. So you can feel that light all around you and in your body. The cells appreciate this light from the divine too. You can invite it into all the cells of your body. Just opening to a more expansive perspective on yourself. And it's interesting when we do that, when we open to a more expansive perspective, more seems possible. It's like, okay, like Gretchen was saying about her friend who lost his job. When we open in a different way to our reality, much more can be possible for us. So you can just feel that lightness and that that place of pure potential in you, opening to more of that light. And just imagine now that you can rise to your soul's path in the higher dimensions with the assistance of Archangel Metatron. He's there with you. It may be in the clouds or on a higher plane of reality, place where you can get a much more expansive view of where you've been and where you're going. And you'll know what's right for you. You'll just find that right place, it's a magical place for you. And just feeling yourself there now, opening again to that golden, radiant white light. Might imagine sparkles in it. I think I I really love sparkles, and I think they do. It's like sparks of light, like they touch us in a deeper way. So if you invite those sparkles into your cells, you might feel them feeling more alive. I can feel my body starts to tingle usually when I imagine those sparkles. And just feel how you feel about yourself now compared to how you felt when we started. And here you are on your spiritual path in the perfect place for you. So in this place, I want to now invite in Archangel Jeremiel, who is, he resonates with the sixth chakra and the color purple and the energy also of amethyst, the stone amethyst, which is similar to the violet flame. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But first, just imagine surrounding yourself with that amethyst light, which is all the beautiful shades of purple and white, and those sparkles of white light in the amethyst stone, surrounding yourself with it, and again, inviting it into the cells of your body. And this is similar to the violet flame, which is considered to be, well, the violet color is the highest frequency of color that we can perceive with the human eye. And it is also energy that transmutes. So it can transmute fears, it can transmute limiting perspectives on yourself, like I can't do this because I'm not that, or I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not pretty enough, I don't know enough. Any of those, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. And some of those can be very deep. The feeling of unworthiness, the feeling maybe of having been abandoned by God. And we can ask Archangel Jeremiel to help us to transmute those energies into love and joy. And as we do that, the more we do that, and we can do that every day if we want, the path before you will become brighter and clearer. And the path behind you, Archangel Jeremiel also is very talented at helping us with our life plan, at reviewing those places in the past that have been holding us down in our own past and in the conventions of society that hold us down. Well, even just like the idea, like you have to have a 40-hour job or whatever it is, life is this way or that way. Maybe not. Maybe we have more freedom than we know. And if you feel like you've had a challenge with being able to express your truth or stand in your own power in the past, you can send that energy back into the past, that amethyst, beautiful violet light. You can fill your whole past with it. And maybe you'll feel some clearing. Maybe you'll feel a little lighter, a little less burdened. This isn't something we're going to complete in a day. This is a journey, but this is a place you can continue to come to. And in the process, feel better about who you are, open to new possibilities, magic, miracles, all the things that are here for us. And clarifying the most beneficial direction for you. If you don't know the next step, can combine these energies for releasing the limitations of the past and for helping you to identify your next step. And that's really all we can do, is one step at a time. And as we take our steps, also we're taking the best steps for humanity. So we can feel good about that too. And into this beautiful amethyst light, I'd also like to invite Raziel to share with us. And Raziel he's a favorite for me. You can invite Raziel anytime because he's one of the most joyful of angels, of the archangels. He's like the magician of the angelic world, very powerful, also spiritual presence. He's like the angelic guru, gatekeeper of divine information, who supports us in awakening to our spiritual gifts, as do Jeremiel and Metatron. And they're all here now with us. So you can feel Raziel's energies is a rainbow of light. So you can imagine that rainbow of light all around you. I imagine it as little sparkles of all the colors of the rainbow. For you, it is whatever you sense. And I sense him there without holding a light for us and inviting us to join him on this magical journey. To me, he's kind of, what I'm seeing is he's sensing or helping us to see that he can walk with us on this path. And all of these angels can. We're never alone on this journey. So you can open to that magic and invite all that rainbow light into every cell of your body. Again, lighting them up even more. I feel like a Christmas tree. He's so joyful. And they're all so loving. We are blessed, all of us. And I have one more I want to invite. I feel like we've had a lot of beautiful support so far, but there's one more. And each of these I'm inviting partly to let you know that they're available to you every day. And these are some of the ones that I invite in most. The last one that I want to invite in is Jophiel. And the archangels, none of them is technically masculine or feminine. Some actually appear sometimes as one or the other. They all have a balance of masculine and feminine. And Jophiel often, to me, appears very feminine. And you can imagine her energy is a beautiful fuchsia pink light. She's also associated with rose petals. You might imagine yourself receiving a beautiful cascade of rose petals and fuchsia pink light, just opening to being blessed with this feminine energy. And she's considered also to be the angel of beauty, beauty, wisdom, illumination. I think one of the things for me that is most supportive is she helps us to understand the beauty within ourselves. Each of us is a uniquely special spiritual being with gifts to offer that are just our own. And Jophiel can help us to appreciate that beauty within ourselves and open to what it is, to discover more of what that is, of the special light that we have to offer to the world. And I still see the others here. I see other angels too. And each of the archangels comes with a legion of their own angels. There are many, many angels with us in this moment. And you can now see yourself on that path, on your spiritual path. And notice how it appears, how the past appears and how the future appears, how being yourself in the present moment with these angels with you, how this appears. I still see Raziel with that light. So sweet. And as I mentioned, you can come back over and over again. You can use the same combination of angels, whatever feels right for you. There are others too. And just see yourself in your most beneficial place on your path, going in the direction that's right for you with the guidance of the divine and your own soul's guidance, obviously, because it is these divine beings connecting and communicating with your soul and helping you, supporting you on your soul's journey. Sometimes when I'm in this place, I feel like I just want to stay. And I'm curious, Gretchen, before we return and we'll have more of a discussion, would you like to add anything, any insights, anything?
I was actually, I work some with Gabriel, and I really enjoy the green light that he brings in. Excuse me, the green light that he brings in is very grounding, and it's about new things and new growth. And so I've been also kind of seeing his light cascading down in support of all the other angels that are around us. And Gabriel is also really good when it comes to anything about earth matters. So things like finances and money and things that are of earth. He also helps us support that in our well-being so that we have everything we need in our material world to survive and the means to do so. So I just call in his light as well. That beautiful, beautiful grass green light is how I often see it, but you might see it as a different shade of green, but it's that really beautiful growth of like we see in spring, the new growth in spring, the green in spring. It's a beautiful energy to add.
We can put some of that bright green grass energy on our spiritual path.
Right, right.
Yeah. And that Gabriel, as some people would say, is one of the angels that appears sometimes to people in male form and sometimes in female form. So however you perceive, and this is true with all the angels, however you perceive them is right for you. Just to trust and to experience it as a journey of discovery with them. It certainly is one that offers many, many blessings. So I'd like now for us to return. We can imagine coming back into our seats from the spiritual path and knowing that we can go back to that place anytime to check in and continue forward on that journey, on that level. And for now, just focusing on being in our seats, being grounded firmly to Mother Earth, who also loves us and sends us her love. And then just breathing in more active energy towards your normal waking state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Oh, and I see Lula's here. The first thing I saw when I opened opened my
Hi,
eyes was
Lula.
Lula. I think that might have been a few minutes ago, but
Yeah.
welcome.
That was amazing. Right at the very beginning of that, when you were calling in Metatron, it started to thunderstorm here and it was really powerful. So the whole time that you're leading us through this meditation, it's thundering over my head and the rain is falling. It was just beautiful. It was like a background music, to the meditation. It was beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I noticed even with Archangel Jofiel too, I could smell the roses.
Yeah.
was
I
I
was
I
walking
haven't
down.
noticed that before when I've done this, but today I
Right.
could smell the roses.
I was walking down this beautiful rainbow path from Raziel that was curving gently through this forest of flowering trees. And every time the breeze blew, little petals, pink petals would fall down as I'm walking. So it was just beautiful. They all worked in such beautiful concert and such beautiful harmony with each other when you called them all in. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what I've sensed also is when we come together in this way, a lot of times they're overlighting our gatherings. And
Yeah.
another one I sense being there, which is probably true most of the time too, is Archangel Michael.
Mhm.
So even the ones who we didn't invite, many were present and are present to support us.
Yeah.
And I have to say, with the archangels, I've never felt the same depth of gratitude that I feel now when I'm with them. I mean, I feel so deeply grateful for them. And I do again want to thank all of you, all of all of you divine beings for being with us.
Yes. Yes. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. That was, I really did feel physically like things were leaving my body. I felt tingles up and down, and then I got chills. And it's very warm in my house right now, so that was clearly not a temperature change. But that was beautiful, and I love when you add the sparkles to the light because I feel like it's like effervescent, it's
Right.
like little like fizzing, and it,
Mhm.
it really does have that impact on me as well, kind of at a cellular level. So that was really beautiful. Yeah, just beautiful.
I think it does. I think I just tend to like sparkles and rainbows and all those kinds of things anyhow. So I think, well,
Sure.
gee, that's just you, Jane. But the more I explored doing that in the meditations, I think that spark is like a spark of light is a spark of light. It's a good
Mhm.
thing.
Right,
So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I do feel lighter right now. I feel like there was definitely some healing going on. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful meditation, and I hope everyone gets a lot out of that because it was a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. And just sometimes in the morning, if I do a meditation, usually in the morning. And if I wake up and I just am out of sorts or something is bothering me, which does happen sometimes, um, I will invite in uh, Jeremiel is good. And I also want to mention something that I've done before in the circle too. And what we're actually going to talk about next time is our topic is the violet flame. And the violet flame is guided by Saint Germain, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, and also Archangel Zadkiel. So we'll be talking about that more next time. Um, I was very much amazed when I started doing that. I think with Jeremiel and also with the violet flame, which I don't like actually for for whatever reason I don't relate to like imagining a flame in my body. So so I have sparkling violet light, and
Mhm.
I think all of us, it's fine to customize all of this to what feels right to you and invite,
Mhm.
whatever energy also feels right to you. um but I that's something that I invite in a lot of times too, is the violet flame, the sparkling violet light.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
it does transmute energy. In
Mhm.
other words, it's like alchemy. It's just an amazing thing.
Absolutely. When I work with it, I do see it as a flame, but I also see it as a cold flame. So it's not
Hmm.
something that burns you.
Right,
You know, it's more like flickering energy that kind of appears like flame. So yeah, I think any way that we work with that is the way we're supposed to be working with it, you know, however we
right.
visualize that. So yeah,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
soul knows what we need. Yeah.
Right. And this little one likes it too, huh? This is our little female dog. Her name is Foxy. You don't want to see them. You don't know that they're there probably. But this is what she looks like. She's just the cutest thing. And she has a pink tummy. The softest. She doesn't have any fur on her tummy, so it's like soft baby skin, huh? Yes, you're very soft. She's so good. She is like a baby. She's about 8 or 9 pounds. There's just this little baby, a
Yeah.
perennial baby.
She
She says,
loves the
I like it.
energy.
I like being that way.
Yeah.
I like being held.
She loves the energy too. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I don't know. Philip came back with Buddy. I don't know where he went, but he's often here too. They like the energy. So when we're in this place, when we're lit up ourselves, what's happening is all of that light is going out to the world. And it's interesting because I used to think, well, we need to send it out. And you can imagine sending it because our intention is very powerful. So you can send it wherever you want. But just being it is of great value to everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And that to me is our main focus is on being these uh, beams of light for the world, all of us beaming
Right.
out. I mean, it has been shown. I should put together some statistics on it when people get together and focus on love or peace, that
Mm,
the energy, the crime goes down in the community. You get to be,
mm.
a group together, and it has an impact.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
any of us, if you are vibrating love, you're benefiting everybody in your neighborhood and your community
Yeah.
and the world.
Yeah.
And you can, we often get out our little planet. I don't know where my planet is. Here it is. Just hold it and imagine a more loving world. We can imagine sending love to all the people of the Ukraine. And any people who are in the world who are in need of more love. And that's actually most people. It's interesting. I think even probably in the Western world, in the more developed countries, still a lot of people are suffering from lack of love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's free. That's the thing that's so crazy.
Yep. Takes very little effort too, for
Right.
us to do that. So
Right. We all invite in the
yeah.
angels and
Yeah.
do some clearing.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. Absolutely. Beautiful.
It is
Beautiful
beautiful.
energy.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay there too in that meditation.
Yeah, I know you get there and it's like, oh.
Ah. Ah.
But our time is almost gone.
Yes.
So Gretchen, would you like to tell people how they can find out more about you and what you're doing in the world?
Yes, thank you. People can find me at my business website, which is spiraljourney.net. I'm also on Facebook and YouTube at Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. My colleague and friend Lula Mora, who's also one of our co-hosts, and I are doing actually an online workshop called Spiritual Reset on May 21st. And you can find information about that on my website under the workshops tab, and that'll give you more information about how to sign up. And this is one of 3 that we're going to be doing. So we're very excited about it, and we hope you can join us for that. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer you and connect with people. I love connecting with people. So.
Yeah, me too. And well, we're in the middle of our Abundant Living course at Awakenings Institute. So if you're interested in that, it's Abundant Living with angels, oracles, EFT, and more. We do actually angelic EFT, kind of a combination of things, which is also wonderfully effective and joyful. So you can find out more at tinyurl.com/abundant living. And that takes you to our website, which has, it's so big that it's hard to find the exact thing you're looking for. But the main thing is it's gettingthrough.org, gettingthru.org/holistic is our main page. So we also, and we have a website for the circle at circleofloveandlight.org. So a lot of possibilities for you there. And thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful week. We can send all of that love and light that we've collected here today out into the future, and you can send it into the past too. Just all those parts of you who weren't loved in the past, they can get it now. And if you want to support the circle, we really appreciate it. You can like our page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/awakenings circle. That's an awakening with an S, circle. You can share the video with your friends. We appreciate that, to get the word out further and bring more light and love into the world, and invite your friends to join you in the circle. So have a wonderful week, everybody, and we'll see you next time to talk about the violet flame.
Bye.